Start things off. On Lightshade, spawning over in the top left-hand side, representing Team Liquid, it is Clem.
And that, of course, means that in the bottom right side of Lightshade, we're looking at the main base of the Italian stallion himself, representing Clash and Red Bull. It is Reynor.
He still brought his equipment on holiday, right? Like his mouse and keyboard and stuff?
Yeah. He's not playing on a trackpad, Ben. He's not playing from his laptop. But
I'm just making sure that he's not beating everybody with like the laptop and then like, oh, it's really hard to micro with this, that little mouse pad thing on the laptop itself. But I was just remembering, like, during this break, a moment where me and Stefano went to WCS Europe and our baggage got lost. And I ended up maybe winning a match or two, but then I got knocked out without my gear. And then Stefano just ended up winning the tournament without his gear. And I was like, no freaking way. Like, some people, they're just blessed, man. Like, at that period of time, you could give Stefano like a shovel and he'd learn to win with it, kind of thing. But I feel that Reynor is the kind of guy that, regardless of the setup, I'm still scared of him, man. Like, I still think he's a really damn good player, no matter the situation.
Of course. And I think in Reynor's mind, he was going to be fine against anyone other than Cero or Clem. Maybe Gaby a little bit scary, but I still think that Reynor would maybe find a way. But I don't think that he was planning on playing against Clem in the lower bracket. You said this could be the upper bracket final or the grand final. Well, it was last season at the DreamHack Masters Summer, which really isn't too long ago. These two did meet in the upper bracket final, and they met again in the grand final. In the upper bracket, Clem won 3-2. In the grand final, he won 4-1. Reynor's got his work cut out for him. He needs to win this best of 5 if he wants a chance even to defend his title at the season finals. I think he knows it's going to be very, very difficult. But hopefully he can just prove us wrong one more time, like he's done so many times in the past.
Absolutely, absolutely. Clem did start off this game with an SCV Scout, just to be safe, and then went for the Reaper afterwards. Very standard for him. And this Reaper Harass will try and get some damage done. Ideally, Reynor doesn't want to lose anything. If he micros it well, he won't. And so far, he's doing very well for himself. On the other side of things, Clem is going up to double gas here, Kev. So it's not going to be the tried and true 3cc build just yet.
Well, seems like Clem wants to bring out some aggression here. Seems like he did pick off his first Zergling. He's going to try to get a few more shots off on that Creep Tumor. But obviously, you don't want to lose your Reaper too early on, especially not if you plan on using it for some aggression together with the Hellions.
Yeah, the Reaper's so good at just being a meat shield for those Hellions later on, given that it does keep on regenerating. Reynor, with a slightly later third than normal, going for the more forward third here. Oh, was that a kill on that Creep Tumor? That's actually quite a nice start for Clem.
Yep, he did pick off one Creep Tumor and keeps the Reaper alive. I feel like whenever you watch Clem in this matchup, you're always like, oh, he's going to lose the Reaper. Never mind. Oh, he's going to lose the Reaper. It like happens 4 times. And he's really good in general keeping it alive. This time he does end up losing it. And I gotta say, he's being very adventurous with his first 2 Hellions. Almost okay with just sacrificing them. I don't think he's going to get a whole lot of damage done here. We'll try to get just a few drones. A bit of lost mining time. All the drones are lined up. The Queens are having a hard time making their way over. And I gotta say, these 2 Hellions are way more successful than I even thought they were going to be. That's 4 drones and a ridiculous amount of lost mining time. More Hellions showing up in the natural too. Oh, Clem is already starting to find a bit more damage and Reynor wants to give him.
Yeah, I hope you're having a nice vacation, Reynor, because so far Clem is taking full advantage of it, it seems. And these Hellions, you're totally right, they did a lot of damage. Reynor does get a scout off to see that it is going to be Cloak Banshee, but Clem playing as aggressive, maybe even more so than he does usually.
Hellion count is back up to 4. He's got 2 more Hellions coming up behind this. Bit surprised that he lost the Reaper before that drive-by really got going, because imagine if that Reaper would have been around 2 in the main. Or maybe just drop a grenade on the ramp to bounce back the Queens. Reynor almost gets fortunate there and picks off 1 Hellion, but Clem keeps it alive. First Banshee is heading towards the main base. Spore Crawler not totally done yet. There is no Spore at the third either.
I mean, this is a really bad situation for Reynor. Even though it's only 5 drones, that was 5 drones super damn early. It wasn't when like the 6 Hellions are out. It was when 2 was out.
And that makes it very hard to economically recover, because at one point Reynor basically had 10 mining drones, and even if that only goes on for like 10 or 15 seconds, it really does ruin your build order. Now of course Clem did delay his third command center for quite some time. Signal is also showing us the impact that it had in the income graph. Double eBay is on the way for Clem, who does end up losing one of those low HP Hellions. It does feel that Clem was hoping for a bit more, and I gotta say, he took a lot of damage on one bench here already, Ben.
Yeah, and taking damage on one, I mean, Reynor's good enough to kind of snipe that one down to focus fire a bit, and we do see that he has a very early overseer.
Oh,
Kevin, I think that's definitely a little bit of a win there. A little bit of breathing room for Reynor for sure.
didn't start off too pretty. Now it's getting a little bit better, but even one bench he can still be annoying and find some economic damage as Clem finally gets a single drone. Alien still roaming around, maybe looking to snipe off that drone that is going to try to morph into a hatchery, but kind of moves out of position at the wrong moment. Not too bad for Reynor. It started off looking real bad, and now you're like, okay, it's playable, but we also know how good Clem is on this map, and as soon as the first 60 Marines are out with Stim, it's still going to be a living nightmare for Reynor.
Yeah, I'm curious about what Reynor is going to go for this game. Like, we saw that very fast lair. We got the 2 Evos starting up now. Bailing speed halfway done. Very defensive setup, but the tech path hasn't truly been chosen yet. So the world is still his oyster. But Clem, he's still eking out a little bit of damage here and there, being such a nuisance.
First two medevacs have picked up a bunch of Marines and they're being sent towards the top right side of the map. Reynor really has no vision out on the map whatsoever. It's just the creep tumors. Most of his units are defensive. He's going to send one link towards the bottom side of the map just to give himself a little heads up in case Clem is going to show up with medevacs in his main. Instead, it's going to be the link on the top side that's going to let Reynor know that these Marines are coming. He's going to morph a couple of Banelings immediately. The Banes won't have speed yet. Marines are going to push back the creep. That's already nice for Clem. But Reynor is not in danger of losing his hatchery yet. The Hellions are going to dive into the third base, looking for some economic damage. Reynor left the Queen behind. So far, it's not too bad for Reynor, but I still think that he's going to have a tough time weathering the storm.
I mean, like, he's actually keeping up with Clem, which is more than you can say than most players, right? Like, this is some very cool multi-pronged aggression from Clem, but nice lovely split on the Baneling, yeah. That was... I wasn't quite expecting that. It kind of made me jump a little.
I have that sometimes when I'm playing games late at night and suddenly there's like something unexpected that's kind of loud happens. I'm like, oh my god, StarCraft 2 is a scary game. Mostly a Reaper that just really scares me when it shoots at something. Clem throws down a scan in the center of the map and he's going to push back that creep a little bit more. That Widow mine count is going up. The armory is about to finish up, by the way, which means that these are going to be permanently cloaked mines. One shot is good, second one is all right. Clem's Hellions are going to morph into Hellbats. Okay.
I like it. I like it. There's a little skirmish over in the top right as well. These Hellbats do run in, and the Banelings were nicely loaded there. The Hellbats all in the same spot, but the Marines are getting to the juicy and into the Zerg base.
Reynor is about to have his 1-1 upgrades, and that's going to make these Lings and Banes a bit more feisty. What I'm just a bit concerned about is that Reynor is not able so far to find any damage on Clem's side of the map. He is 11 works and a lot of Banelings in the center of the map with a mine. Okay, that could have been a lot worse, but still a decent mine connection there for Claymore.
Yeah, so Reynor does have some Banelings on the aggressive now, running around that, but lovely stutter step by Clem and only 2 SVs fall. Definitely not what Reynor's looking for with these Banelings, and 2-2 hasn't yet started for Reynor. That isn't to say he can't do it, but these supply blocks, just everything. Clem's just relentless with his pressure.
Clem is doing a really good job in keeping these units alive and trying to get as much value out of them as possible. This is the first time that Clem is finding proper damage. At the same time, Reynor is going to try to find a bunch of SCVs with Lings and Banes, but there is a drop in the main base. Reynor has no units in position to deal with this. There are extra Lings coming up the ramp now, and that's going to be good enough to push this back. But Clem is already taking a 25 supply lead. And let's not forget, Ben, that his upgrades are further ahead too. Reynor is in serious trouble now in game 1.
He's super trouble, Kev. Like, Clem, he's just growing and growing and growing. He's not really losing much either. Look at that resources lost tab. Reynor so far has lost twice the amount. The worker count's almost the same as well. In fact, it's probably going to be in Clem's favor here. He's dealing so much damage.
Yep, there is a sport crawler that's chipping away at these medevacs, so Reynor will finally, will finally be able to clean up the double drop. That's not happening yet. The Lings are going to push back the Marines on the top side, but Clem is +2 attack is about to finish up. Reynor only now starting +2 melee. Reynor is also floating quite some money. I guess the Queens have been very busy just trying to deal with medevacs, Hellions, Banshees all over the place, and maybe he's been missing a couple of injects.
Beautiful play from Clem this game so far. This is the kind of heat that we know that he can bring. And TDZ, he's absolutely one of the best at it. Not just, in fact, not just one of the best, might be the best. And this is kind of why. He just doesn't stop once he started.
And he's on the... Okay, Reynor does get a nice Baneling connection in the top right side. That's the first time in a while that something really goes Reynor's way. When you look at Clem's natural, you're like, where is Clem's supply? If he's up 32 supply, shouldn't we see something of that? Well, that's an army right there. That's an army that's that could very well be good enough to win the game. Reynor did make it to Hive, and he does drop the Ultralist Cavern. If a couple of Ultras with Guidance Plating make an appearance on the battlefield, there is a good chance that they can start making life hard on these Marines. It's going to take a long time for Reynor to get there, and he's 15 workers down, Ben. When is Reynor ever 15 workers down in a ZVT?
I mean, it barely ever happens. And right now, Reynor's probably like, wait, you haven't attacked me for a full, 20 seconds here? What's up? What's happening? But Clem, he's mustering up his full army here, and he's got so many Widowmines on the field. 12 to be exact. 2-2 is finished up for him here, and this army, this south base, I don't think he's going to be able to keep it alive.
No, there is absolutely no way. There are a couple of Banelings that were hitting underneath the hatchery. Reynor is just going to go for a counterattack, and he may find quite some damage, but is it going to be enough to really get on top of the production? I highly doubt that. We are waiting for Ultras, but I don't think Ultras will ever come out, as Clem is like, all right, one base is nice. Maybe I can get the second one. Good Baneling connections there, but Reynor just needs a whole lot more. Reynor's given up on the counterattack after he saw that Clem lifted up the Orbiter, and he's going to bring all the units home, but there are so many mines here, and a couple of them, or at least one of them, has not fired yet.
Wow, really nice by Reynor actually cleaning up all those Widow Mines, and he only lost a base. He's still expanding to the top here, but that worker count, Kev, you talked about it. He's behind in workers. He should never be in this kind of situation.
Nope, and he's going to be behind in upgrades too, as Clem has already fired up 3-3. Reynor did not yet. Clem is just picking up units and bouncing them all over the place from the high ground to the low ground. With just Lings, you're going to have a very hard time cleaning up these Marines. So the Banelings need to make their way through, and they do eventually get there. Clem's got more Medivacs left here than Marines. I do love that he still picks up those 4 Marines he's got left, and he's just going to send the Medivacs home. Reynor's going to try to get lucky on the other side of the map with Lings and Banes, but Clem is more than ready, and even the spawning pool went down. Okay.
Yeah, that slows down the Ling production quite a bit, you could definitely say. Clem was supply block there, 164 out of 164 for a while. He does now spot the Ultralist Cavern, but he is up to 8 barracks, and we do know that that can really tilt the tide for the Marauder production and really stop those Ultras from being as big a problem, and not to mention the Liberators.
Reynor is going for another counter, and he may find a couple of SCVs, but he's got a massive Terran army to worry about in the top right side. Ultras are good, but they don't have +3 armor yet, and I also don't think they really stand a chance against these Liberators that are ready to make justice. Rains from above, and Reynor says, ugh. And I'm pretty sure that perfectly describes his feelings of playing game 1 here on Lightshade. Ugh.
Yeah, I mean, it was a rough game right from the start, but we all know TVZ is very momentum based, and those first 2 Hellions definitely got something done. I think killing one of the Banshees was a little bit of a lifeline, but Clem, once he got going, he just never really halted. There was that little moment where he was supply blocked at 164, but he was dealing damage all the way and stopping Reynor from really getting going. What's left after that, very nicely played by Clem, and it's not going to get easier, I'm afraid, because Lightshade was Reynor's map pick.
Yep, game 2 is going to be played on Oxide. Maybe Reynor is going to switch it up and play some Roaches, something we've seen him do a couple of times on this map, and he's actually quite good with it. I think over the years, that's something... I think Reynor was always good with Lings and Banes. Of course, he even got better at it once he became a world champ. But his Roach play, you looked at it 2 years ago, you'd be like, bruv, you shouldn't play Roaches. That's just not your unit. You can see that it really didn't make him very comfortable, and he wasn't that happy with it. As it seems like we just lost Ben. But I think he got a lot better at playing Roaches. You're still here, but you're a white square for me, mate. Yeah, of course. But I do think Reynor got a lot better at roaches, so maybe there is some potential. Last game, there were a couple of moments where if Clem wasn't Clem, guys, and Clem wasn't as good as he is, there is a good chance that Reynor does get those Baneling connections he's looking for at the third base of the Terran. You kill 12 SCVs, rinse and repeat, and before you know it, Reynor does have 80 plus drones, and the Terran is actually the one hovering around 50 workers. Unfortunately for this man, Clem is Clem, and he sees everything. Let's see if game 2 is going to be a bit different here on Oxide. In the top right side, the reigning defending champ of the DreamHack Masters season finals. It is Reynor. No, I guess I did lose, man. So in the bottom left side of Oxide, we're looking at the main base of the Frenchman, the reigning defending champion of the DreamHack Masters Europe. I know it gets a bit confusing, but we just have regional qualifiers into a big season finals. This man representing Team Liquid, it is Clem. Hello, Benjamin, I've missed you. All right. Apparently, Ben is still not going out to the stream, so apparently I'm riding solo now. I just had a lovely conversation with Ben, but apparently you guys couldn't hear it. So we are going to try to figure this one out on our end, as I'm going to talk you guys through the first 2 or 3 minutes here on Oxide. Clem has, of course, taken the 1-0 lead here in the lower bracket. I don't even know what round it is, guys, but we do know that it's a qualification match for the season finals. Clem is going to open up with the Reaper, fast expand on the low ground, so everything very standard. I do not expect Clem to do anything well as 2 Rexing or 3 Rexing in this best of 5. I don't think it's necessary, and I don't think he feels it's necessary either. Reynor, on the other hand, is getting a couple of queens, getting his safety links going. And it's, of course, very important for our Italian that he doesn't take any economic damage early on. Setting out a drone real early here, and he's actually going to hide it. That's a cool little play by Reynor. Because now this Reaper will normally think that it can prevent drones from moving out and trying to take a third hatch very early on. But Reynor already having this drone hidden behind the minerals. She just morphed it into a hatch. Nice little play by Reynor. And we're going to take the game from here. I do believe that now you're actually back, Benjamin Baker.
Now I'm officially here, Kevin. I just want to say to those people, like, they might be like, to Muslim, you screwed this whole thing up. It wasn't my fault, okay? Everything was totally fine on my end. This is just some of the stuff that happens, you know, when we're on the internet. Anyhow, we do have that 3cc build from Clem this game. I don't know if you talked about that already, Kev, you know, like...
No, but I want to talk about this lair from Reynor, because that's a very quick lair.
Yeah, very quick indeed. This isn't something that you normally see from Reynor. Like, Reynor's usually the guy that takes a lot of bases very quickly. His tech might be a little bit later than other Zergs, but kind of thrives on having just a lot of units and a lot of drones very quickly.
That's a beautiful snipe on the creep tumor there by Clem. It's super low HP Reaper. Still getting in there, landing the grenade. Clem, of course, doesn't know yet that Reynor has gone up to lair so damn quick. 3 minutes and 30 seconds into the game. He doesn't start the lair, it's finishing up. And now we do see the Roach Warren going down too. Of course, Reynor never got Zergling speed. Pretty much impossible to get Zergling speed and a lair that quickly. So we are going to see Roaches, and we'll see the Nidus as well. Now, when I think of Nidus play against Terran, I think of something that Lambo said, where probably had a conversation with Elazer, and Elazer said, if Nidus was good against Terran, I'd do it every game. So he's not a believer. But hey, maybe Clem is not expecting it, and if Reynor can get that first Nidus up in the top left side of the main base, there is a chance, man.
There is a chance, and I remember back when Legs of the Void started up, and Nidus was way better, to say the least. This was like the one build that you really wanted to go up against, the Cloak Banshee Hellion build. It is quite hard to stop, and this is kind of the last thing you'd expect Reynor to be doing, honestly. And there is no vision there. Like, we see that, and the Nidus is up now, Kev.
Yep, the roaches are in production. Clem still doesn't know. This could very well be Reynor's ticket to a very cheeky victory as the Nidus goes up. The Marine scouts hit of Clem, but I don't know if Clem's gonna have enough DPS. Where's that Banshee? He's gonna pull Hellions, SCVs, and a Marine. I still don't think it's gonna be enough DPS to prevent this Nidus from going up. The Queens need to pop out first, and the Queens will pop out. Is this Reynor? Oh, okay. Not all the units get out, but it's quite a few roaches and a Queen.
Yeah, I think Reynor might have messed that up a tiny bit there, but the SCV damage, Kev, it's getting super done. The Queen with Transfuse Energy was like the last thing to pop out there, but Clem caught with his pants down here, mate, and oh my goodness, that is a lot of Zerg right away.
Yep, now obviously there is some micro potential in the Hellions and in the Banshees too, but the Queen count is quite high. One Banshee goes down, and that's a bit disastrous. Good split there by Reynor, making sure that that Widowmine only fires at a single unit. There are reinforced slow Zerglings coming out of the Nidus too now. Reynor just wants to win this game. This very well be enough so far. I mean, there is an Overseer too. Look at how low HP that Banshee is. I actually think when that second Nidus was an obby, Clem should have just pulled all the SCVs from the natural. He didn't do it, and the second Nidus is going to give Reynor enough reinforcements to get a point on the board here. It's cheeky, it's dirty, but it got the job done.
It was super cheeky. Like, honestly, Reynor's one of the last people I'd expect to do the Nidus play, but it was perfect. Like, it was really perfect. He went up against a build that also the Nidus is... It definitely can be good against. And Clem, I think Reynor, like the real trick that game was the fact that he sold not going a Nidus so damn well. Like the Queens were in good positions. He was still doing all the maneuvers that he'd normally do, regularly do. And Clem just knew about it when the Nidus was going up with that one Marine, which, yeah, you're totally right. Like if he did pull all the SCVs from the second base after realizing it might have been something else, but wow, what a way for Reynor to tie up the series.
Yeah, because that's exactly what you want when your Nidus does go down, but you have 3 Queens and 4 Roaches pop out. There were actually quite a few units there on Clem's side. He had a Widowmine, he had a bunch of Hellions, there was 1 or 2 Marines, but there was double Banshee too. And I actually think at that point, if you're Clem, you just want to fight that army before that second Nidus is up and it starts unloading more Zerg units, because there is a good chance that he takes a really good fight. And even if you lose 15 extra SCVs, I think Clem with triple orbital and 12 SCVs there, I actually do believe he could absolutely bring it back. And I think Reynor would know that too. So Reynor really wanted to end it ASAP. Well, maybe we've got a series on our hands, man.
I mean, we definitely do, like 1-1. I mean, okay, my faith is still in Clem here in regards to he won a straight up macro game, right? Like he did have an edge in the early game, and you know, Reynor got a cheesy win over here. But Kevin, I've got to ask you, like this particular map that we have right here, this was Reynor's pick. So after these introductions, I want you to tell me a little bit about how you feel about it. Spawning over in the bottom right, playing as the Blue Terran, it is Clem.
In the bottom left side, we're looking at the main base of the Italian Zerg representing Clash and Red Bull. It is Reynor. Well, the only thing I can tell you is things that I've already said before, where Reynor goes for pool first here, okay. Reynor often talks about how strong he thinks Mech is on Blackburn, and he actually thinks that if you play Mech perfectly, you can't possibly lose as a Terran. I don't know if that's true or not, but then it's kind of funny, because in the past, in a lot of those best of 3s or best of 5s and even best of 7s that Clem beat Reynor in, Clem did often lose on Blackburn. And maybe Reynor eventually just started to feel like, you know what? Even though I think this map is really hard against Mech, Clem never plays Mech, and I actually do pretty good against Clem on this map. So let's just play on Blackburn.
Yeah. Like that's one thing I've noticed as well. Like obviously a lot of Zergs didn't like this map for their ZVT, but it tended to be the one that Reynor, if he did take a map, it was usually Blackburn, which was weird, you know? That being said, this game, it is pool first, which I'm not into, it's a Roach build, and Clem opting for Reactor first with a Gas first opening as well. Like, this is already super weird from both of them.
I mean, it's pretty obvious that Reynor tried to play macro in the first game, and he's like, all right, that's just not gonna cut it. I can't possibly be as quick as I need to be going up against Clem. Clem's SCV is going to see these 4 links, and obviously Reynor really doesn't want to give away that he's doing this, but that queen is not out yet, and there is a chance that the SCV gets a perfect scout. I mean, this is already a decent scout, I guess, but it would be massive for Clem if he could spot the roach farm, but he's deciding not to go into the main base. Well, at least he's keeping the links busy. But yeah, I think based on these strategies, the previous game and this one as well, that Reynor has given up on trying to beat Clem at a straight-up, very honorable macro game. And he's just going to try to win purely on strategy and trying to catch Clem off guard.
And I think it's a smart move, you know? I remember you saying at one time, it was about Rifkin playing him back, and you were like, he was doing the Nida stuff and all that jazz, like, as dirty as it gets. And he was like, and you were like, yeah, I actually think it was a smart move by you, though, given that you didn't have a chance anyway else. This game, though, like, Clem still hasn't started a bunker.
And he's starting a Widow Mine. That's like the worst unit to make.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, if the Widow Mine goes off on the Ravager, sure, but this, I think he's totally not knowing what he's up against.
Okay, Reynor is building a couple of drones behind this, and Clem is going to get a bunker on the high ground.
Yeah, okay, the bunker on the high ground's good. And he does have 6 Marines, which is a lot of Marines. But he did switch off that factory. Okay, he's switching it back again here.
Nice on. We're on the mine, but it does mean that the mine is going to get picked off. That bunker is still not done yet. I think Reynor can really get some decent economic damage here. Does a good job picking up the first SCV. Can he get the second one? Not yet. Can Reynor gun down the bunker? It's going to be awfully close. And he will get the bunker, loses the Ravager, but there are still 3 roaches left.
There certainly are. The starport is done. Clem not going for a tech lab, just going for a medevac. I kind of like that choice, actually, because he knows he's going to clean this up, right? And then it's like, okay, what can I do? Well, I'm going to go to the other side of the map with a bunch of units and see what we can get done.
I mean, Reynor comes out of this with a 7 worker lead, but he's obviously still a 2-base Zerg. Zerg link speed has only just been fired up. What do you make of that, Ben? Do you think Reynor is satisfied with that, or do you think he hopes for a whole lot more?
I think he hoped for a whole lot more, Kev. I really do. I think the opening from Clem, I don't know what he was entirely planning. Maybe it might have been like a Marine drop in Hellions and stuff, because he would have potentially had 8 Marines and 1 medevac. But this is already a little bit dicey for the Italian.
Yep, Reynor is going to fire up a lair as the first, not 8, but 6 Marines are heading his way. He's going to have to deal with this with slow Zerglings and just 2 Queens. It's super important for Reynor to keep these Queens alive, because it's honestly the best fighting unit he has at this point.
Yeah, and there is a Cloak Banshee follow-up as well with this. And seeing this, these links with that speed, this is just this is nice for Clem, because he doesn't need to deal damage, but these queens being here and not spreading creep, that's also a nice thing.
Oh,
great
Reynor getting a bit too far forward there. Tries to pick up the medevac. Clem not falling for that. Now, at the same time, we have Hellions indeed already in the low ground. That's big, though, especially with the Banshee follow-up. Clem being able to get a queen there is, I think, way more than he could have dreamed of.
Yeah, definitely. Clem's just handling this beautifully, honestly, Kev. I was a bit worried for him against the opening, just because he kind of... It felt like he found out about it late, but he's dealt with everything beautifully, hasn't he? Like, now we're on an equal work count. These Hellions might get a bit of surround with these lings. Oh, nice juke, but beautiful play. Beautiful.
Yep, and the second queen is potentially going to go down. Clem could pick up these Marines and drop them on top of the queen, but he doesn't even need to do that. That is -2 queens for Reynor, who definitely didn't have the most economic opening in the Zerg book. Now, the first Banshee is out. Second Banshee is on the way. Spore Crawler nowhere near done yet. There is not enough anti-air. This is going to be a disaster, I think, for Reynor, who does have quite a few roaches and lings here, but the power in these Marines, the Hellbats. Reynor is just getting toasted into Zerg Oblivion here.
Toasted into Zerg Oblivion, indeed. I mean, this is brutal, man. Like, Hellbats, I've never seen them look so good, and the Banshees now, there's no Spore Crawler over here. And oh my goodness, that is so much damage being done. This looks like this one's going to be a bit of a short one here, Kev.
It's game-ending damage, and I think Reynor knows it. 16 drones already going down. Reynor move commanding his units there a bit in the natural, but it doesn't really matter. The Banshees will still go completely uncontested. Reynor has no anti-air left, and Clem takes a pretty quick 2-1 lead here in this best of 5. That will determine our final player at the DreamHack season finals. When it comes to the European representatives, Reynor trying to be a bit cheeky there with the opening. It just did not quite work out. Found some damage. And I felt that going up against the mine was going to be a good thing. And that mine actually didn't kill anything. But Reynor still just couldn't deal a whole lot more than... I think the bunker was a real game changer. Because if Clem, sure, he loses the bunker, but it soaks up a lot of shots. And it allows the Marines to push out a lot of damage on that Ravager, on the Roach. And it just made the eventual hold a whole lot easier.
That Marine opening from Clem also, like it's it's not super out there, but it's a little unorthodox. And having 6 Marines by the time your unscouted Roach force gets there, that's quite a lot of power. Like that's way better than having like 4 Hellions and a Reaper, you know. Anyhow, guys and girls, we're gonna go to a short break and we'll find out who wins between Reynor and Clem.
Welcome back, everyone, to the lower bracket of the DreamHack Masters Fall Europe playoffs, where we are in the middle or getting towards the end of Reynor versus Clem. So far, to me, Ben, this is honestly pretty straightforward. Reynor tried to just play his best in the first game, and obviously it didn't look bad. And it'd be good enough against 99% of even the pros out there. But CVT versus Clem, I think he just shook his head and he's like, this ain't going to cut it. So he's trying to switch gears over here and trying to be a bit more cheesy and just get very far ahead on strategy. And that may work once or even twice. I just don't believe you can really get Clem out of there in the best of 5 with builds that basically rely on catching him off guard.
Yeah, I mean, Clem, Like we've all done it. We've all done it where there's that person in Europe that you have to get by, because he beats everybody worse than him. But the people that are better, this kind of stuff doesn't work. And I'm talking about Bly, obviously. I think Clem's played enough against Bly to have enough experience against this sort of cheese. Speaking of, spawning over in the bottom left of 2K Atmosphere, playing as the Blue Terran, it is Team Liquid's Clem.
And in the top right side, we're looking at the main base of the man who is not playing these games from home. And I think it is shown so far. Can he still make the impossible happen? The Italian Zerg, Reynor.
You know what's also going to be unfortunate for Reynor? Like, if we can kind of see that, he's having to resort to methods that aren't necessarily his A-plan situations, I think Clem for sure is going to be cluing into that as well.
Of course. 100%. I mean, I think it's already a different best of 5. You see a build like this being thrown out between these two once in a blue moon, but I even feel that Clem doesn't 2-rex or 3-rex against Reynor a whole lot. And Reynor, sure, he will play roaches sometimes, but he doesn't really rely on the almost gimmicky super early roach openings where you pray that you go up against certain builds where you can kill 8 or 9 SCVs early on and then play a much more comfortable game, because then Clem's aggression will show up a lot later. No, it's going to be a tough one, but we'll see. Reynor has done pretty insane things in the past, Ben, but this would definitely be another one to add to the list.
I mean, it would. Like, just to talk about Clem's TVZ, because I know I like to hype it up quite a bit. Like, it's just so solid. He doesn't resort to a lot of the weird stuff like the proxy 2-rexes and stuff. He even goes for like an SV scout every game practically, which is just like that's so annoying to play against. This guy is so solid. So the fact that he even goes as far as sacrificing his economy a little bit just to make sure that he doesn't die to anything weird, that's just like trying to cheese this guy is actually ridiculously hard as well. So even if Reynor is in this cheesy mindset, like, what do you do? Like, this guy's beat you 10 times in a row when you're at peak performance, and now you have to play when you're on holiday, trying to, working on your sundown and stuff. It's just, world of pain.
I do think that maybe on this map, Reynor is going to just try to go back to what he was trying to make happen on Lightshade, and that is play a relatively straight-up normal game. I think 2K is a map where some of Reynor's mechanics can absolutely shine. It's a good map for run-bys. It's very difficult for a Terran to take a look at every path that Zerglings could take, or every little spot where Banelings could morph and wiggle into your mineral line, or roll into the mineral line a bit later. So I think we're all going to see a good game where Reynor is just going to give it all he's got one more time and just try to go at least out with a banger. As Clem, meanwhile, is building a 3rd command center at home, and he's dropping his 2nd barracks.
I like this build from Clem a lot. Like getting up, it's like the modified 2-on-1 of old, except you just have a 3rd CC with it. And I mean, when you say it like that, why the hell wouldn't you do this? It's just a better build in every way. So if we think about what does this provide you, after you get about 13, 14 Marines and 2 medevacs, along with the Hellions, you can start dealing a lot of damage to your opponent and just slow down that creep spread a lot and really put them under a lot of pressure, which they don't want to be under.
Now, even though this TVZ is not over yet, if it's not quite living up to the expectations yet that you guys perhaps had, don't worry, we do have more TVZ. And I think the next best of 5 is one that a lot of people have really been looking forward to. Serral versus Hero Marine in the upper bracket final. I really think that's going to be one hell of a series, man. I can't wait. I really feel that this is Hero Marine's golden opportunity almost to potentially finally win a Premier event. He's been working so hard. He's been so close quite a few times. It's just always been 1 or 2 people that were just a bit better than him. I think Gabe is peaking. Yona is obviously an absolute monster to go up against, but I can't wait for that best of 5. I think it's going to be really fun.
I think it's going to be awesome. And honestly, it's kind of going to be the first test to see who can really go against Gabe. I know that's weird to say because he beat Showtime, but like when he got to avoid Clem, who he has been beating recently as well, as a bit of a, I don't want to say a bit of a godsend, but it kind of was in a way. But seeing him against Serral, that's going to be awesome. I'm super excited.
Yep. Clem is going to end up losing one Hellion here. Loses the Reaper too. I got to say though, in Gabe's defense, he actually does really well against Clem. I know a lot of diehards are always like, oh, Clem is better than Hero and Marine, but that's mostly based on what they see in TVZ when Clem goes up against Reynor or Serral. But when Clem and Gay play against each other, that's actually as 50-50 as it gets. It's really not that Clem has been winning a whole lot more against Hero Marine than the other way around.
Yeah, it's weird, right? Or, I mean, I guess it isn't weird. Like, StarCraft is a very complex game, and the speed that Clem has, it just works out so much better for him in TVZ than it does in TVT. Like, TVT, it's a different pace entirely. Micro can go a long way, and Clem was getting a lot of fortune with the meta shifting to be a bit more micro-starty with the medevac openings and stuff, but it's slowed down again, and Big Gabe, well, he comes with a big brain.
I was about to say, it's like, oh yeah, I'm just very smart. Clem does unload his first 60 Marines on the other side of the map. Reynor is kind of there to deal with it. I want to say a little bit out of position, but so far so good for Reynor. Needs to make sure that he doesn't end up losing any queens though. I do like the few Zerglings that Reynor already has on the left side. Reynor not completely paying attention. One queen gets picked off. And unless I am mistaken, Ben, that queen had quite a bit of energy too, didn't it?
I think it did. Reynor, though, he is busting out upgrades a lot earlier this game. That's something that I can be like, okay, Reynor, this doesn't seem as bad a situation as it was on Lightshade, where he seemingly just started off with a deficit with those two Hellions. This game, this looks like a very standard start to Clem versus Reynor, which is nice to say.
Banelings on the left side. If y'all can take a little look at that. Those links that I mentioned earlier, they have now morphed into Banelings. Baneling speed is ready. Clem is moving out more units. He's obviously paying attention to his army in the center of the map. Is this Reynor's opening to potential? Oh, that's not a wall off! Reynor gets absolutely perfect connections with these Banelings, or pretty perfect at least. 13 SCVs go down. Reynor does have quite some money in the bank though, Ben, and I'm a little bit concerned about that.
I'm concerned about these Widow Mines as well, Kev. I mean, they're nicely placed, and that hatchery is not looking like it's going to survive, and what a pick-off by Clem, it's got to be said.
Yep, Reynor is still 16 workers ahead, but a Zerg being on 3 bases against a 3-base Terran is not a place you ever want to be. And then you're going to have a hard time finding places for those 15 extra drones that you have too. Reynor's queen still a little bit exposed in the front. Another queen is in some trouble there, but it does get saved. Clem picks up those Marines and gets out of danger, and at the same time is making some progress with Marines and Widow Mines on the right side.
Yeah, one saving grace for Reynor, like, despite killing all those SCVs, is the fact that his 1-1 started up real good. He's now on equal upgrades, and Clem's armory was just a smidge late here. Oh, nice play against the Widow Mines there, blowing them up.
Yep, so both mines get taken out before they can burrow and get a single shot off. At the same time, Reynor finding Baneling connections in the top left side too. Clem losing more and more Marines. If Reynor didn't lose that hatchery, if those queens would have been there just a little bit quicker and dropped a couple of transfusions, I would have been like, this is one hell of a start for Reynor. Now I'll be real, and I'm still not totally feeling it, but maybe he can make some magic happen.
Maybe he can. I mean, this is nice delay tactics by Clem here, and lovely positioning with these Marines as well. The Queens, the whole army of Reynor's over here. Oh my goodness, I can't believe how long they were lasting for, the little outpost.
Really good positioning. This Clem does have a couple of aliens and 2 medevacs. It's a funny combo. 8 minutes into the game, it's like, is there something else? Yes, there will be something else. As Widow Mines is showing up, extra bar units are going to make their way here too. Reynor is thinking about setting up a very big run-by into the natural, into the third. Could do a lot of economic damage, but he still needs to deal with all these Terran units that are out on the map too.
This is getting super scrappy. He's morphing in a lot of Banelings, but they are caught on the morph. And I mean, most of them do finish up here, but beautiful pre-splits by Clem. But we see that SV count rapidly falling on the other side of the map. This is so scrappy.
Reynor only has 6 Banelings left though, and that's obviously not that good. But he does clean up most of the Marines in the top side, and he's actually going to get the armory there too by the looks of it. So I thought he was going to be in a bit of danger at his own fort base, but Reynor pushes it back, dealt a lot of economic damage, gets the armory. Wow, 28 workers ahead, Reynor that is.
I mean, what a hold, man, what a hold. Reynor's more than ahead this game, Kevin. Weird to say, because the whole time I was like, oh, Clem's doing so well, but even the armory fell as well. Like, drilling claws didn't finish. There's so many things for Clem that went bad besides the SCV loss.
And now Reynor obviously is going to make some... He's like, well, the first one went really good. Can I do this again? He is going to find this morphing command center in the bottom. There is a Widow Mine there that gets picked off by these Lings and Banes. Yeah, if I was Clem, I would take a little moment and be like, all right, I lost a lot of map control. I lost a lot of vision. I lost some of my important buildings. And indeed, I don't even know if he's aware that Drilling Glass got cancelled, but maybe he did. These mines are no longer permanently cloaked either, of course, because the armory got picked off.
Yeah, definitely. And he is getting away here, but that fourth base is going to have to lift up again. And oh my goodness, the Banelings of Reynor at this third base. Reynor,
Wow.
Even kills the fourth. That is huge.
Lings and Banes just killed the command center. Reynor getting a lot of economic damage, and all that Reynor really needs to do is suspend his bank. I'd say queue up a couple of overlords. For a split second, he had... Okay, I thought he had Burrow on the way, but he doesn't Burrow on the way, guys. It's actually finishing up. Wow, Clem has lost all map control, has lost most of his eyes on the map. He is going to go for a little Widowmine drop, but these are not the Widowmine drops that Clem had in mind, because Clem was working on Drilling Claws minutes ago, but the Lings and Banes got a kill on that tech lab.
This is not the game I thought it was going to be. Like, this is Reynor on holiday, folks. He's not with his correct setup here, and he's actually winning this fourth game here, and he's being such a nuisance with his army as well. He's playing really damn good here.
One run by is sometimes all it takes for Reynor against Clem. And we saw on Lightshade he had some attempts, but Clem was ready for it, left the Banshee at home, left a couple of Widowmines behind. This time the first run by was a success, and then he managed to morph. The Burrowed Banelings there are so close to all these Marines. If Clem moves a little bit towards the bottom, oh, and he misses it as well. 18 more, if he's going down, he's going to run over the Banelings.
Oh my goodness. Wow, that game ended in fireworks. Clem, I can't believe Reynor is 2-2 against Clem. That is something that none of us thought was going to happen. Reynor is currently on vacation playing these games, and all of a sudden, like I've got goosebumps all down my legs. All of a sudden, maybe it's not Reynor that's going to be missing out in the season finals. Maybe it's Clem in his best matchup. He hasn't lost to Reynor in the last 10 series between them, and here, like, he got outgunned and outplayed that game.
Yeah, that first run by is really what got things going for Reynor, and then it still felt like he was in a bit of trouble because he lost the hatchery, but at one point he sets up a big counterattack, Lings and Bane streaming to the other side of the map, got into the natural, got into the third, and once the floodgates were open, it just felt like it never stopped. And perhaps the icing on the cake was killing a command center with Lings and Banes, not something you see super often. The final game, though, is going to be played on Romanticide. I think it's a map where it's a little bit more difficult in general to find the same damage with Lings and Banes. It's possible, but it's not quite 2K.
It's not quite 2K. It's a very good defensive map. And I do know that Clem likes that 2-racks open, or not the 2-1-1 opening with a third CC build on this map. He's very good at 9 creep, but yeah, all of a sudden, Kev, I'm like, I've seen Clem make this map in particular look very hard. Like, Reynor's done these big attacks that come at a random timing before the double medevac actually comes out and stuff. But yeah, I'm all of a sudden I'm very excited. Like, this comes down to one map who's going to win here, which is so weird to say. 'Cause this is, yeah, I really didn't expect this whatsoever.
Nope, I don't even know if Reynor expected it, to be totally honest with you, but he will tell us afterwards if he somehow gets the job done that he did expect it, that he did believe. But let's not forget, we talk a lot about, well, what if Reynor goes out there? Clem is not just the reigning champ of the DreamHack Masters Europe. Clem has won the last 2 seasons in a row. He won Summer 2021, and he also won the DreamHack Masters Winter Europe. That was the first big one that made the O-Gaming go absolutely bananas, and they screamed for days. They made songs, and yeah, the Clem hype train was already rolling, but at that point it became a steam train that just was unstoppable.
I'm going to interrupt you quickly, Kev. If you can just pass over the host quickly to our observer, Niall, here. There was some little bug happening in the lobby, and then we'll be able to get this game on the way, which, yeah, we're all excited about now. This one is, it's a strange one. It's a weird one. Clem, Reynor, 2-2. Like this, after those first 3 games, we were all thinking that Reynor's going to start playing super damn weird. But then he went more than back to the basics. He just went to his style there. Like, I know the Banelings are quite early on that left side for the run by at the third, but they did so damn good to bring Reynor more than back into that game. And that's got me excited now, because I was, for a moment there, I was thinking like, oh, you know, she's going to throw something out that isn't going to work. But by golly, did that work. Spawning over in the top left of Romanticide, representing Clash and Red Bull, it is Reynor.
And in the bottom right side of Romanticide, we're looking at the main base of the back-to-back European champ. Needs to win this one to keep the three-peat dream alive. Representing Team Liquid, it is Clem.
This is one of those moments where I'm like, I'm just hoping for a good game, Kev. I'm just hoping for a cracker, you know?
I don't think you're alone, Ben.
No, I don't. I know that's such a silly thing for me to say, but the build-up for this, like the whole time, I just haven't been expecting this from Reynor, man. Like, that was really damn well played. Even in the Lightshade game where he lost, his splits against the Widowmines and stuff were really, really damn clean. And yeah, he's obvious. These guys are so damn talented, man. Like, these along with Cyril, Gabe as well, that's been a very consistent fourth place fella. I wanted to see them all in the season finals, but it comes down to just this map. It's insane.
I mean, there is a tournament where you can watch all of them duke it out in the same tournament, and that's the DreamHack Masters Europe, which we are currently enjoying. Yeah. And I think it's been an absolute blast of a season. I've been really enjoying this one. I think in the group stages, we had a lot of fun days. We love great best of threes, but especially the playoffs in Europe have really delivered so far. And hopefully it will just get better. Let's see what Reynor and Clem have in store for us here in Game 5. I'm expecting Clem to honestly play a relatively safe game. I was a bit surprised to see that he was researching Tech Lab on that factory at the low ground. That was technically somewhat more vulnerable than if you would have built it elsewhere. I just think that Clem always expected that he was going to be the one in Reynor's face, and he was going to be the one dictating the pace of the game, and he was the one killing workers that Reynor then would replace. And the moment he started losing SCVs, he's like, uh-oh, is this happening? And then it just kept on happening. I don't think Clem is going to make the same slip-ups, but we'll see what happens here in Game 5.
We certainly will. We certainly will. Nice save by Reynor on that drone there, and Clem got some fierce Reaper, micro, and control. But yeah, no, I'm with you, Kev. Like, whenever I'm playing a game like that, if I have one run by that happens, I'm like, okay, that's a danger zone right there. Like that, I'm going to keep having my opponent there in my face the whole time. I love that spot that Zerg's used for that creep tumor, and that was sick micro with that Reaper.
Clem getting 3 kills so far. That's honestly quite nice. It's not going to make or break the game, but it's a little feel-good moment, and we know that Clem really is a momentum-based player. If things start going well, he starts flying. He is going to just rally that Reaper up the high ground. Gets picked off by the Queens. A little bit earlier than you normally see Clem lose his Reaper or sacrifice it.
That's actually super uncharacteristic. Like, yeah, he's lost his Reaper a few times early in this whole series so far, but that's a serious lack of scouting information. Like, that is one time where now he can start worrying about, well, what's his opponent actually doing? And Reynor with this Overlord gets a really good scout about what he's up against as well.
Yep, Clem opening up 2 base Hellions and Banshees, unless he changes his mind the moment that Overlord dies, and he does. He cancels Cloak, he cancels the Banshee, and he goes for the Raven. Interesting choice. Hellion Raven of 2 CCs.
Definitely odd. I mean, it can be done. But Kevin, this is already starting to make me worry a little bit, because these Hellions can't poke even remotely as much as they normally do, given that the Reaper isn't there to buffer damage as well.
That little Zergling actually saw the Tech Lab, and it sees that the Tech Lab is not spinning, so now Reynor knows that it's not going to be Cloak Banshees.
Does he possibly think it's a battle cruiser, though? Or do you think he's... I mean, it could be a few things at this point, but these Hellions, Kevin, the main base, these, so far, they haven't got the damage done they're looking for, and... Okay, a couple of drones. 3, but...
Yeah, but this is a 2-base Clem. Like, if this was of 3 command centers, I'd be like, oh, okay, you know, you lose the Hellions, but you kill a couple drones, a bit of lost mine time is not that bad. I thought there was some more potential there too, since the main and the natural were not connected by creep. I honestly think this is the best start Reynor's had in any of these games, man.
Not just the best, yeah, it's actually favorable for him, which is weird, because the other games it wasn't really, besides the one that, like, the Nidus one. But yeah, what a weird world we live in. Like, and this Raven, you know, I look at Ravens, Kevin, I'm like, oh my goodness.
Oh.
Okay, that deserved to live. It deserved to live.
I know, it was close. Auditor gets a single drone, but yeah, Ravens obviously don't necessarily have the same potential as two Banshees do, where if you do get a couple of Queen kills, you can maybe start racking up the drone kills as well. A Raven is just there. It's annoying, it's consistent, it's maybe reliable. Clem is moving his Raven very near the Queens, actually. Clem, you gotta be careful. My goodness, took a lot of damage there. What he did do is pull the Queens out of position, or at least keep them busy, and he's just gonna rally way more Zerglings into the main base of Reynor. How many drones will Clem get there? But at the same time, there are Zerglings in the natural of Clem. They won't get too much done. Yeah, I mean, killing 7 drones is nice, but if Clem loses 6 SCVs and he loses all the Hellions, that's still not exactly what Clem was looking for.
No, definitely not. And Reynor with a decent split here on the drones and does minimalize damage quite a bit. But yeah, I'm kind of with you, Kev. Like, like a lot of these things haven't been the worst for Reynor, whereas Clem's been actually losing out way more than he should have done. And I was thinking about it earlier with the run-by situation in the factory. Like, Reynor has definitely clued into the fact that Clem, while he's so good at aggression, defense-wise, Reynor's just able to deal damage, man.
Are you surprised to see Reynor taking that base as his 4th base, the one at 9 o'clock?
A little. It's not super out there. I don't want to say it's easier to defend because you don't have that ridge behind it. Because if Widowmine drops get going or Marine drops get going at that triangular third, it can be problematic.
I gotta say, this is quite crazy because Clem just picked up 2 medevacs full of units. Those are like the only units he had. Imagine if Reynor would have sent in 12 Zerglings right now. It would have been so painful for Clem to deal with. Fortunately for Clem, that ain't happening. And Reynor is just gonna try to deal with his army head on. Bailing speed is close to finishing up. Clem will have a nice little upgrade lead, as Reynor has only started Carapace and never started +1 melee.
Does look like Reynor's going to be going for in fact, he's going for both expos at the same time. So maybe planning on one faltering and getting to keep the other one up at the same time. This Raven looking to deal damage here with the auto turret drops, but I might get some drones in the bottom there, but actually not even.
There's going to be a Bailing drop heading towards the natural of Clem. That's kind of cool. So Reynor is going to try once more to just disrupt the flow of Clem's economy a bit. There is a Widowmine on the high ground that could potentially fire again. The Raven got repaired. Let's take a look at, I want to say this Overlord, but not yet. Reynor's still busy dealing with the Marines. As one Queen does get picked off, second Queen is in a bit of trouble. Reynor, you're going to need a little bit more here than just a couple of Queens. Queen number 2 does go down. Overlord heads into the natural of Clem. Bailing drop.
Oh my goodness. Like 10 workers going down at this stage of the game is huge. Oh, Widowmine drop though. That Widowmine drop, oh my goodness. Well, that's one way to tie it up.
Mine is going to fire again. Gets a couple of links there as well on the exit. Well done by Clem. So eye for an eye. Marines are going to run into the main base. Reynor is a bit out of position to deal with this. Oh, that's beautiful positioning on these Marines. This is an absolute nightmare for Zerglings to engage. A couple of Banelings are going to save the day, but Reynor is really starting to just kind of fall behind now, where it just feels nothing is really going his way. Right when I say that, these Banelings do clean up the Marines, so that's kind of nice.
Yeah, the big thing here is the upgrades. Like Clem for the last minute or so was ahead on upgrades. Reynor finally kind of catching up here with the Carapace upgrade. Oh, I like this by Reynor, but so he was trying to fake him to make him move, but Clem wasn't even paying attention, so didn't react.
Yeah, Reynor is molding now. Oh, the Queens are super far off trip in the top right side. Sorry, Inyal. They went way too far off trip. That's a little bit sloppy. 2 of them go down immediately. Does feel that Reynor could be in some trouble here. There are 10 Banelings out on the map. He's morphing 16 extra Banes. A lot of firepower in these Marines. +1 is done. Reynor still does not have +1 melee yet. Reynor, oh my goodness, he just ran up a ramp into a Widowmine that easily killed 25 units, if not more. As Reynor was setting up this flank with his little Overseer and Baneling squad. And this game is going from bad to worse. He will still push this somewhat back, but oh my goodness, he took so much damage from that mine that was actually burrowed on that ramp on the low ground for quite some time.
I mean, Clem's kind of running away with this one. Like 2-2 is more than halfway, or at least the attack is. And Clem is just rallying units across the map. Reynor's he's trying to combat on the other side as well, but defensively, aggressively, there's just more Clem here, there, and everywhere right now.
There's a tiny run by happening in the natural of Clem, but the Widowmine connects with a couple of Banelings, and Reynor just doesn't really have any firepower there. The hatchery is going to fall to these Marines. That Queen is going to get picked off too if Clem really wants it. Clem does kind of want it, but he's busy shooting at Broodlings. Eventually he gets it. That's the 9th Queen going down in a 11-minute game. As Clem is about to have +2 attack finish up. Reynor is really kind of feel like starting to run out of steam. It's not like he's got something to look forward to, right? There are no Vipers on the way. There are no Ultras on the way. There isn't even Burrow for some of these magical Burrow Banelings. It's going to be none of that.
Yeah, he's just hanging on here. Like, this isn't where you're looking forward to something popping out, as you said. Like, there's nothing, not even Burrow. And I mean, he's just looking to hang on, but Clem just not giving him the time of day. This is the kind of TVZ that Clem likes to play, the suffocating TVZ.
Yep, it's so hard for a Zerg to get a favorable fight here. I almost feel the only way that you're somehow going to win a fight is when Banelings become your best friend. And you can drag the Baneling shots. Oh, what is the range on these things today? My goodness. I mean, that was a Marine Lord Widowmine if I've seen one. Obviously, Lings are very fast, but yeah, it feels that without friendly fire, Reynor can't possibly win a fight.
Yeah, I mean, he's going up to, wow, I love the SCV that's with the group here. Just, I'm one of the boys too, but he is going for an infestation pit here. But right now, he's 30 supply behind, and maybe more importantly, he's behind in upgrades as well. And Clem, you just see these blue blobs just marching across the map, and it's not as if he's all in with any of this. Like, he's actually taking his 5th, 6th command center here. Just brilliant play from the Frenchman.
Yep, Reynor has 16 Banelings left, but there are 13 Widowmines on the side of the man. That's going to try to make the three-peat happen, winning the DreamHack Masters Europe 3 seasons in a row. Still a long way to go for him, but he does get over a pretty big hurdle here, and that is Reynor, who may not be at 100%, but even Reynor at 95% is one hell of an opponent. Clem knows that, and probably felt that when it all of a sudden was tied up, rather. And at this point, it does start to feel like Clem is running away with it. Or maybe Reynor can surprise us one more time with a few Lings and Banes in the bottom side. But it's starting to look more and more unlikely with each passing second.
Yeah, and look at this. An army of Widowmines meets an army of Ling Bane and the bio as well. I mean, Clem's microing this beautifully, man. What's the resources lost tab at? Yeah, Clem's just been trading better. He's bigger, he's stronger, he's got a better economy, he's got 10 more workers. And the upgrades, they're starting to finish up for Reynor now, but Clem just, look at this creep spread. It's been absolutely dominated here.
Yep, he's really been pushed back pretty much to the hatcheries other than a little bit of creep in the center. Reynor does a good job there, avoiding 1 or 2 mines, but another mine with a long distance shot. There are so many mines left over. Reynor is going to fully send it, Overseers, Overlords, couple of Lings and Banes, but it is not going to be enough. The reigning champ of the DreamHack Masters season finals is not going to have an opportunity to defend this title at the final seasons of, or the season finals of fall. As it seems like Clem will stop him in his tracks here. A Hive is about to finish up ban, and there is a little bit of money in the bank, but everywhere I look, I see a lot of Terran, and I see very little Zerg.
Yeah, I mean, Reynor is fighting till his last man, basically. 29 Banelings are incoming, but Kevin, there's just too much Terran on the field. 13 Widowmines, 11 Medivacs, and that production tab isn't slowing down. Clem's now maxed out, doubling the supply of his opponent, and Reynor with one last stand here, but Clem splits for days.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, with 121 army supply against 29, I hope the split